And we're set. Well, welcome, guys. Nice to see everyone.
Yeah, you can say guys correctly with this, right?
Guys. Oh, my guys. I feel privileged. All my guys are here. All right, well, I'm glad y'all could make it. This is kind of a special board meeting. We're going to just go ahead and get right into the second survey. Did everybody look over the survey and the results and the recommendations?
Yep.
Okay, we're all set to go. All right. Brad, do you want to go ahead and start running through it, and then
You want me to do that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, let me do this. Let me do you want to share a screen and I can pull up the document? Yeah. We can go through. Is that
ready
okay?
To go ahead.
Hold on just a second. Let's see here. We want, I think we want this one. Okay.
You're going to review your 18 January summary and recommendations. Is that the document you're going to look at?
Yes.
Yes, correct. Well.
Okay.
All right, let me pull it over there. Do a little housekeeping here.
No, that's fine.
Hey, Ray, you moved fairly recently. Where did you relocate to?
Ponte Vedra.
Where is that?
It's between St. Augustine and Jacksonville.
Oh, okay. It's on the East Coast.
It's on the East Coast. And so I'm up here in North Florida with Robin.
Okay.
Feeling the chill, huh?
Trying to see if I can get both of these on one screen. So that's the delay here.
Oh, that's fine. So we've got two of you in North Florida, two of us in basically the Central Gulf Coast, and two in Southern Florida. I think Vince, you and Brad aren't that far apart.
No, I don't think we are.
Not at all.
Yeah, I'm down in Estero, Vince.
Yeah, that's not far at all. That's
yeah,
30 minutes, maybe 40 minutes.
Okay.
Maybe. Yeah.
All right, so here we go. Okay, how are we doing, everybody?
Perfect. Looks good.
You see it?
Yes.
So I've got the obviously the summary on the left, and then the SurveyMonkey summary on the right.
Nice.
And all right, so this is the same as what you all have seen. I think maybe the summary here we've refined some of the wording a little bit, but nothing real major. Now we have somebody else, I think.
Yeah. Andy's coming in.
Okay. There we go. I see Andy. Great. Okay.
Check this one out.
So question one of Rotary's 7 areas of focus, which one area do you believe should be our club's main focus area? And what we wanted to do with the club, which other clubs have done successfully, is we thought that it would really help to have a focus area for the club. We'll have a couple other secondary areas, which we'll get to in a second, but we wanted to try to have one. As we say here, the greatest number of votes was for basic education and literacy. And so we recommended that be our club's main focus. If you go over here on the right, you can, the bars are nice, they're nice and graphic, but when you come down below them, you can see the actual numbers. And basic education and literacy was 5 votes altogether. The next closest one to that was economic and community development, which we'll get to when we get to the secondary areas. So does anybody have any comments, questions, or anything?
No, and this, Brad, this was based on approximately a 50% response or a little bit more than that.
That's really a good point, Will. And it's one of the challenges of our club, which probably you all know better than I, actually. But of the, 32, 33 members, Will, what are we at right now?
You won.
Something there.
34.
34, okay. We had, of that 34, we had approximately 22 actually open the email that contained the survey. Of that 22, we had 12 people actually participate. So in one sense, it's a little discouraging that you have about 10 people that wouldn't even bother to open the email. And of that, you had about another 10 people that wouldn't click on the button when they were told that it wouldn't take them that it would take them less than 5 minutes to complete the survey. And as you all know, because you did it, I mean, basically all you had to do is, click on yes or no or multiple choices. So in that sense, it was a little discouraging. But having said that, of the 12 people that we got to respond are probably the 12 people that care the most about the club because they did respond. So in that sense, we probably have those people that care the most about the club participating and giving us their ideas and recommendations. So I think that is, the positive way to look at it. But Will, that's a really good point that you brought up. So thank you.
Now, Brad, out of everybody that replied, now we had a few more correct that replied to the first survey.
We had 14 reply to the first survey.
Okay, so basically
a few more is a really good way to put it, Alicia.
Yeah.
A few more. Yeah, we had 14 reply to that.
Okay.
Yeah. So, okay. So then the second question was, because we would like up to 2 secondary areas of focus for our club, what 2 areas would you choose as secondary areas? Please choose 2. So what we did on this question is we said we hope to choose 2 secondary focus areas. We added the votes, except for our very first choice, which was the basic education and literacy. That one we said that's our first one. After that, we added the votes from the question 1 to question 2 to try to get those areas that would be the best candidates for our secondary focus area. So the environment had 6 total votes. So we thought, well, that one was a pretty clear winner. So we said, okay, for our secondary focus area, that one's a clear winner. Then we kind of had a tie. Let's see, disease treatment and prevention had 5 votes, and economic and community development had 5 votes. Economic and community development, however, had 4 of that 5 votes in the question 1. In other words, 4 people felt that should be our primary focus. And the disease treatment and prevention had none. So even though they were tied in total votes, we thought that economic and community development was pretty strong. However, Alicia does have a lot of experience in the disease treatment prevention area. And so this is an area that she has a personal interest in. So because of that, we were really kind of split. We thought that for sure we wanted to have the environment as one of our secondary goals, but we weren't sure about the next one. And so we thought, well, we could have a discussion with the board on that and see what the feeling was on that. So in that sense, we're kind of throwing it open at this point to see which one of those 2 areas we would prefer to recommend. So I just, throw the floor open for discussion. But don't everybody talk at once.
Well, the environment is a hot topic everywhere. We're already doing disease prevention with our contributions to Polio Plus and that, I think. my sentiment would be to go with the environment. Like basic education and literacy is key to everything else, because if people aren't educated, they really can't do much else. It's tough. So that is, in my opinion, a great number one. I'm delighted to see it's up there. Disease prevention and treatment. How do we get into that? Whereas the environment is something we can all go out and do a project. We did one up here with Cordova that I participated in. We all went over to a school and got the agreement, and we planted something like 100 trees.
Well, I think, Robin, you're echoing exactly our thoughts. We, the primary focus was, we thought, definitely basic education and literacy, and environment was definitely a secondary focus area for us. We were having difficulty trying to we wanted to have two focus areas so that, everybody had a chance to have something that they really felt strongly about, or as much of a chance as possible. And we were kind of split between economic and community development and disease treatment and prevention. We were trying to decide between those two which one we would pick.
Yeah, that's as the second
As a
of
tertiary.
the two secondary areas of focus, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
That's correct. But Robin, what you were saying and what we were thinking were exactly the same, regarding our primary focus and the environment.
Well, can we agree that supporting the environment is clearly one of the two secondaries? Can we all agree on that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Since that came out. And then the discussion would be which of the two, disease treatment and prevention or economic and community development, would we choose as the second of our two secondaries?
I don't know, Alicia, do you want to talk? I'm put you on the spot here, I guess, a little bit. But
No, that's okay.
it might help if you talk a little bit about your thoughts regarding disease treatment and prevention.
Well, I do agree with Robin that, we are contributing to polio. I honestly, personally, I'm tied between going either way. I think if we work, or our focus is on the basic education and literacy with the environment, you're going, that can tie into an economic development project, teaching, children about the environment. We can tie these in very well. And when you've got a tie-in with the education and the environment, and you help develop the community, that is just on its own going to open doors for disease treatment and prevention. So I'm sort of seeing things go in a pathway. Yes, well.
Basic education and literacy is not one of the two that we're considering, is it?
No, it's not. But what I'm saying is we're starting at the basic education as our primary.
Right.
Yes.
That leads to a path teaching. We could teach about the environment. That can lead to economic. It's what I'm saying is this
I see.
Can go into this, can go into that.
Tie the secondaries to the primary. I see where you're going. Yeah.
One of the things that Will and I talked about when the three of us were talking, we had 4 of the question 1 votes for economic and community development. And I think both of us had some experience with microloans and seeing how those work, and the benefits that they make to the communities where they're implemented, and the interaction that Rotarians have with those communities, with the people we both had very positive experiences about that, and that is part of the economic and community development process. And so I hear Alicia kind of saying that she sees some value in that also. So I think it not only got 4 question 1 votes, I think that's a pretty strong area to commit ourselves to. That's my feeling.
Is the economic and community development?
Economic and community development, correct.
Yeah.
Like as Alicia was saying, that kind of flows from the basic literacy and education. Education can kind of get into the economic development,
Right.
giving them the tools to deal with it, and they'll maybe helping people to put it into practice. It's not a far stretch from your education. And
Right.
Yeah, it's a good point, Robin. Yeah.
So,
Well, can we have a consensus then that we do the environment, which I think is a clear secondary winner, but that our next one would be economic and community development?
go ahead and vote.
yeah, yes,
Okay.
Okay, yes.
Any no's on that? We better not, or we'll come
vote
after.
yes.
We know where you live.
Want, want.
I'll go yes.
Okay.
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 Great.
Okay, great. All right. I think that was one of the hardest ones that we had, was trying to make that decision. So,
Right.
okay, so here we go. Question 3. In our survey, several members suggested our club focus on RI's newest area of focus, the environment. If we choose this area, what specific environmental areas would you like to concentrate on? Please choose 2. And our feeling about this one was, I mean, environment is a huge area and encompasses a lot of things. And if that's going to be one of our focus areas, we really wanted to try to be focused on something in particular on that. And so water pollution had 5 votes. Plastic pollution had 4 votes. So our recommendation was that we combine these for our environmental focus, water and plastic pollution. Our thinking is that we can focus on ocean plastic pollution, which aligns well with water pollution. So that was the thinking, that we would actually, combine those 2 areas into one, to make that our focus for the environment. So,
Brad, it's Andrew.
Hi,
Brad,
Andrew.
just real,
Hi, Dad.
hi, real quick. I'm breaking up a little bit here. This one in the video, but even at school at Lynn University, we're doing a lot, for ocean and so forth. And that could be good. Maybe in the future, I have some contacts with them. Maybe we could get them and talk to the club. They're doing a lot nationally and globally. So I think that would be good. And the younger, our younger students are really in on this. And that could be good also, getting younger members and Rotarians and Rotaractors involved with us with all this. So I vote yes, and I'd love to help maybe, getting some of those organizations on board at the context. So if we go that route, count me in and trying to help you with that.
Great.
Good.
That's great. Great comments, Andy. Thank you.
water is such a big issue in Florida. And, 60% of our members are probably living in Florida. So it makes sense to look at your water and the plastic. They go hand in hand, because you don't see the seashore without seeing plastic.
Yeah,
That's
true.
Yeah.
And now that you mentioned Florida, Robin, one of the pollutants that we're concerned about, since most of Florida's water comes out of deep wells, is salt water intrusion due to sea level rise into the aquifers from which we draw our drinking water. Yep. So there's a concern. So that kind of ties in.
Okay.
So do I, go ahead.
No. That's great. It sounds good.
Okay. Do I hear any objections to making our focus in the environment to be water and plastic pollution? No objection. So, okay. I think
good. All right.
That's where we go with that. All right.
Okay. Do you want me to go ahead and handle question 4 if you can keep sharing the screen? All right.
Please go ahead. Yeah.
I will jump in. Okay, so we have
Do
been
it.
talking about this for quite some time as far as our Zoom meetings. Will and I have both been involved in other e-club meetings where they meet only once a month. They combine their BOD meeting at the end of the meeting. They have their speakers. They're fine. They don't do anything else. They're growing. They're good. We know of other e-clubs that are having weekly Zoom meetings. I would like to see, and we have talked about this, having 2 Zoom meetings per month. To possibly accommodate our international members and any other members that might not be able to meet 7 o'clock on the first Monday of the month. So we are suggesting that we have 2 Zoom meetings a month. Should be required. We'd like to get, we'd like to see everybody, but have it the first and the third Mondays, where the first Zoom meeting of the month is at the regular 7 p.m. time. The second meeting, the third Monday of the month would be around 11 o'clock in the morning, which could accommodate stateside members during their lunch hour, could better accommodate our international members.
Was that also on a Monday?
Yeah, so
Okay, they're both a Monday.
Yeah, keeping it the first and third Monday of the month.
Got it.
My whole goal when I started scheduling the Zoom meetings was I wanted to make it easy. That's why I started with the third Thursday, because it kind of rings in your head, third Thursday. But there were so many club members that have let us know that they really can't make that meeting. So when we sent out the first survey was what day of the week would be better for you. And when I first asked club members, Mondays came back, not so much the weekends, but Mondays or Wednesdays. When we had our first survey that Brad did, Mondays again showed up primarily, along with other days, Wednesdays, Tuesdays, Thursday. So we decided to keep it on that Monday. So the first Monday and the third Monday should be easy enough to remember, I would hope.
Well, and
Any
you
comments?
got 4 votes also for Monday on the Zoom, or excuse me, on the Survey Monkey also.
Correct.
So
In relation to 2 meetings, they can't be compulsory, because the premises of the e-club is 24/7. You do it on your own time, and we carry that over to Zoom, unless you're going to mandate that people have to, and I don't think that would work. You look at the current attendance at Zoom meetings, and it's usually 6, 8, 10 if we're lucky.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're going to have 2 meetings, are the same people going to be turning up to 2 meetings in the month? I think that's unlikely. Those are they're my thoughts.
No, that's great. I appreciate your input. Anything else? Any other thoughts?
well, I would just say, being the newbie here, which might be an advantage for this discussion, I think maybe the reason that we're not so used to this kind of thinking is because we haven't thought this way before. The truth of the matter is that I'm familiar with several e-clubs, and I know Will and Alicia are familiar with some too, that have more than 2 meetings a month, and they are mandatory. Now, people can make up by, what we would do with this and what others do, is that they record those meetings, and if they can't make the meetings personally, they can view the recording at their leisure. And so in that sense, there is flexibility. but the idea of seeing 2 Zoom meetings in a month is not unusual amongst most e-clubs, and I would say most e-clubs probably require more than that.
So if I can add, following up on Robin's comment about one of our early objectives in forming this e-club was to give people flexibility, and that flexibility would make us attractive. That's my greyhound over here whining. That what we are really looking to our members for is involvement, whether that be posting and looking at the thread, Zoom meetings, other involvement doing work in the community or wherever. And I think Rotary kind of echoed that when they talked about doing away with mandatory attendance at club meetings. So what they're really looking for is involvement. Now, a certain amount of our members are obviously involved, and a certain number of our members are totally uninvolved. So, we have the flexibility for involvement there. I don't know that making Zoom meetings mandatory would help us in what we're trying to achieve, or making posting on the thread mandatory would help us achieve getting our members involved. But really, involvement at some level is what we're looking for. Is it not?
Yep, you're right.
I think it's a good point, Will. I mean, one caveat we could make, as a possibility, is that involvement in a project somewhere would count as a meeting. That's pretty normal, I think, for many Rotary clubs to do that. And so in that sense, if somebody's out at a project once or twice a month, they wouldn't necessarily have to view the Zoom meeting, though we really want people to view it. They may not be able to view it live. They may have to view a recording, but we're going to have speakers. We're going to be talking about what the club's doing. We really want people to be viewing those Zoom meetings. However, having said that, we certainly could allow people to, get a, attendance, credit, if you will, through projects, project involvement.
Yeah, well,
we currently 1 hour of Rotary service is the equivalent of a meeting. That's how we operate on the attendance point. And I go back to Will's point, we want involvement. And rather than the stick, it's better to have the carrot of maybe better meetings on Zoom, more attractive meetings, maybe better presentations that, will grab the interest.
Right.
Like I tune into a couple of clubs in the UK, and they always have something interesting going on over there in some of those. So I think that our focus, my opinion would be our focus should be encouraging involvement. Like there was talk of making, mandatory comments in the threads. That didn't fly. We've tried it for years and years and years, doesn't fly. So I think it's up to the involved in the club to make it more interesting, to encourage more participation.
You may have just answered the question then with the last series of comments that were made. Perhaps something of a package could be presented to the members and say, here's how we meet and participate. How can you participate in this landscape? And the landscape is 2 meetings a month, Zoom. Keep that recommendation that was made. The thread, visiting other clubs, which I believe is a requirement once a quarter that we've
Mhm.
made for the members. And project participation, as Robin just said. So give everyone a chance. These are the ways you can participate in our club, and how your attendance will be gauged, if you will, for those that are inclined to, have 100% attendance, rather than make the Zoom meetings required. Say, this is the package. This is how we meet.
Yeah.
I personally like the idea of an additional Zoom meeting at a different time, because that attracted me when I read it, because it gave or it gives people opportunities in other time zones where that could be an attractive meeting time. I don't know what 11 a.m. is in India, Eastern time in India, but it might be attractive. I mean, it's there was an
9:30.
RLI call. It's 8:30. It's about 9:30 at night, but maybe a little late. But I don't know, 7 o'clock Eastern. I don't know what that is in Germany. I mean,
That's one of the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would suggest that we all could agree that some level of involvement in the club and club activities is the desired goal of someone being a Rotarian in this club. I would hesitate to assign points to each kind of activity, although maybe down the road we might consider such a thing. If we were to do that, some minimal level of points, but I think we could also all agree that 0 points and 0 involvement is not really being an acceptable member in Rotarian. And at some point, we need to look harder at that. So I personally, when I'm talking particularly to a new person about Rotary, I try to stay away from using attendance, particularly since I observed some people in my former club who had 100% attendance, but never were involved at all. Their attendance was perfect. They did nothing. They were still not a good Rotarian. So again, the push for involvement and participation rather than just attendance, I think, is something that over time we need to encourage in some variety of ways.
I think that summary is good. I think the one thing that we can add to this and kind of highlight is that one of the advantages of the Zoom meetings is that if they're recorded and we allow people access to them, that it does allow some flexibility in that they can download those, view those at their leisure. And so I think that brings some flexibility, and going in the route that we're considering here would provide 2 Zoom meetings rather than the one that we have, with 2 speakers and 2 updates on what the club is doing and the different presentations that we would have during those 2 meetings. So even though somebody might not be able to view it live, to be able to have the opportunity to view it later is going to get them a lot of information that they might not get now with just the one Zoom meeting that we're having.
Yeah,
And their involvement of viewing that previous meeting would certainly be worthy.
Yeah, this would surely be true of the Zoom meetings where we've had speakers. There would be no reason somebody could not go, if it's recorded, somebody could not go back in at some date and view those types of meetings. Not all of our Zoom meetings have been necessarily interesting, but I think the speakers we've had recently have been great, including Brad, on the trapeze.
Thank you very much, Ray.
And we've got a really good one coming up 1st of February too. It's going to be.
It's a shame that our members miss those.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, I think where we're going with this, which sounds pretty good, is that our focus is on involvement. Our recommendation is that people would view the 2 required Zoom meetings, either live or recorded, that they also view the thread every week, and that they participate in projects or visiting other clubs, or in other ways being involved in other Rotary activities, and that we could approach it in that way rather than making something mandatory like we originally first talked about.
Yeah. And I like that thinking. And as I've been sitting here and listening and thinking about that percentage of members that is totally uninvolved, I would suggest that our focus needs to be on the members who are involved and those future members that we will be bringing in, that we need to get excited and engaged, and that those current totally uninvolved members, they want to stay with us, pay their dues, we'll take their money, but we've done as much as we can, really.
Mhm.
We've gone above and beyond to reach out to them.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I would like to have a showcase on the thread at least once a month of a club member. I really would like to highlight a club member and get more people interested in even just visiting the thread. I've seen the thread, people that are viewing the thread.
Yeah. I
Anyway.
want us to highlight Ray again. He's a really interesting guy. I had no idea.
Okay.
Well, one of the things that we can do in our Zoom meetings also, Alicia, is that within those meetings, we can talk about what's on the thread. And so I think, because we're having an extra Zoom meeting and because we're focusing on involvement, we may get more traffic to the thread than we would have otherwise because of it.
That's an excellent idea, Brett.
Yeah, it is.
Good.
And also, if we're having, interesting speakers, publishing it on our Facebook page would drive extra outside traffic just to create interest.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Which we have our next speaker on
Yep.
the page. So, and since we're talking about this, I have been in touch with Evie Parks, who is a district. Well, what's exactly her role?
She is district.
She's like a coordinator.
She's an
events coordinator.
District events coordinator. Yeah.
Okay. And she and I are working on. We would like to get the announcement for our February speaker in the district newsletter. However, the newsletter might be postponed. The district governor right now has got some other things that she wants to add. So in the least, it is going to go out to every single member in the district about our February 1 meeting and the host.
Great.
So.
Well, let's see. Back to question 4 for just a second. What Will was talking about is something that the 3 of us, in terms of members not being involved and how we relate to that, is something that the 3 of us talked about, quite a bit. I told them of a phrase, and some of you may have heard it before, which is more related to clubs than it is members, but I think it applies here. It's talking about the idea of how much time do you spend, and this phrase was originally developed, how much time do you spend trying to work on clubs that are failing? In our situation, how much time do you spend on people that don't want to be involved? Rather than trying to create new clubs, or rather than what Will was saying, going out and getting new members. And the phrase is that it's easier to give birth than to raise the dead. And you know, that's a phrase that's used a lot with the whole idea of creating new clubs. And I think we can use it here too, in the sense that we really want to be going out and getting new members. It's really not worth our time and effort to be worrying about those people that don't want
Right.
to be involved. The more new members we get, the less percentage those people become of our club.
Mhm.
The more we grow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me share just one new member experience that Alicia and I had. We've had several conversations with our newest member, Malona. She contacted us and said, look, at my company, Tech Data, they have their own foundation that works on giving grants. And she was so impressed with the presentation on Haiti water hand wash that she wants to see if her corporation can somehow partner with us on that project and throw some money at hand wash. So here's a
That's
person
great.
hadn't been with us for 2 weeks, and already they're trying to help work on a project. Now that's truly involvement.
Mhm.
That's great.
Definitely. Great.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we'll just keep bringing those types of people on board.
Well, I think I have an understanding of where we want to go with
Yep.
with question 4, and so so far what we've decided has been, you know, pretty consistent with the recommendation that we've made. And question 4, we've modified it a little bit, so I think we can try to put that in words and send that out to everybody and make sure that everybody's comfortable with that.
Okay.
I think I have a pretty good idea of where we want to go with that, but we'll do that with everybody on that question. Okay. Anybody else on question 4?
The only other thing that I would like to say is, you know, there's a few of us that are bringing, you know, speakers into the Zoom meetings. We do 2 Zoom meetings. We're more than likely not going to have the same speaker for both of them during the month. So I would like to see a little bit more input on speakers, and maybe even somebody else kind of be in charge of one of the meetings. I'll continue to handle the Zoom part, but you know, somebody else basically host that second meeting.
You know, Alicia,
I'll help you with one of them.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
What-
A suggestion on the speakers, you can always play the speaker that you've already recorded
Correct.
in the second meeting. You can splice it in there. I don't know how you do it, but technologically, but it should be possible to next week's speaker, you can have him in the midday one if it comes to it, or you could use him again and again if you were stuck for a speaker.
Yeah. Yeah,
You
there you go.
also
I just put
have
them on a continuous loop.
Like you could put Brad up again, you know?
you also have Rotary videos with some
Mhm.
excellent speakers
Yeah.
and programs.
Yeah.
So
You know what, Will, I was going to say the same thing. You know, there's a lot of resources
Oh, yeah.
at Rotary that we could access.
yes,
Okay.
All right.
all right.
And Alicia, one of the things that we talked about when we were talking about somebody else hosting the second meeting, and I think, you know, in our initial discussions, we thought that was pretty good too. We talked about possibly rotating that amongst us. I don't know how everybody feels about that. I think that that's not a bad idea, and it doesn't put a burden of a second meeting on just one person. And if we were okay with that, Alicia, you could just kind of manage that rotation.
I'll just draw a name out of a hat. That's fine. I'll get one of Will's little head things and put some names.
Well, if you're going to do that, though, would you put Will's name in 4 or 5 times? Just we want to level the field here.
I'm going to talk about extraterrestrials next. So
maybe you shouldn't put it in at all. Actually, now that I think about it.
Well, I got him snagged for speaking in May, so, all right,
Okay.
got him for one thing. Oh, well,
Great.
shall we continue?
Everybody okay with going on to questions 5 and 6?
Go for it.
Okay, so let's do that then. Lisa talked about the other meeting dates that were suggested. Here they are. And they're scattered all over the week, as you can see. So there wasn't any consensus about any other day other than Friday. There's a very good consensus with Friday, or excuse me, Monday.
Monday.
4 people,
Yeah.
agreed with that. So that was a pretty good consensus.
Yeah.
Okay, so here
right.
we go. Question 5. And we've got 5 and 6 together in our summary. So 5 is, I'm currently on 1 or more committees. Please list them in the comments. So let's take a look at this. Marketing, youth, foundation. Foundation was listed a lot. And
Which
then
is
the next
good
question-
because,
Yeah, excuse me. Okay, and then the next question was, we would like each member to be on at least 1 committee. If you're not on a committee or you would like to be on an additional committee, please check the committees below and add it to the comments section. So, and then here I like to go down to the numbers. And you can see the leading one is foundation projects. And then you had, possibly a committee on, selecting the next president, membership retention, vocational service, speakers, public image, activities coordinating other e-clubs, and then 2 other things not listed on a committee, but will help, and then youth exchange. So then our summary was, we decided to not be too ambitious in the beginning about committees because this has not been something that has been strongly stressed in the past. Thus, we recommend the following committees with the caveat that we can add additional committees in the future. Foundation, membership, and public image, also known as Rotary brand or Rotary voice. Our focus is to create dynamic, functioning committees with involved members, and that was the reason we thought that we should limit the number of them as we started out. So
Fred, I have a
that
quick
was-
question.
Sure.
Were you able to identify any people who said, I'm not on a committee, but I'd like to be on one, and here's the one I'd like to be on?
Well, and SurveyMonkey, because they protect individual identity in terms of who's answering and
Yeah.
whatnot, you can't do that. You
Okay.
actually have to, yeah. So
Yeah.
I'd have to go back to our first survey. There we could identify people. And I'm not sure if we had, any of that in that. I could go back and look at it. But if we did, there's not a whole lot of information. that we
Okay,
have about
all right.
that.
That's all I wanted to know.
Yeah,
That almost
that's
seems
what
like
that's
we-
one of the disadvantages of SurveyMonkey is that you really can't do that.
it's almost like we need to send out another, just a question. If you filled out the survey, you want to be on the committee, which one do you want to be on?
Yeah, we could. We could do
Hopefully,
that.
hopefully they answer it.
Yeah, well, that's the other side.
Well, you're going to get the same 12 or 14 people.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that
But you
would
know
know,
what?
and that's a good start.
Yeah, we could do that. I mean, I think the first part of this really is identifying what the committees will be, which is what we're recommending here: foundation, membership, public image.
Yeah.
Once we've done that, then we can start to try to populate those committees.
Mhm.
Right.
And so I think for this purpose, it is, are those 3 good committees? Would we want to add anything or subtract anything? And after we've established that, then we can, continue a conversation about who's going to be on those and how we're going to do that.
Well,
Brad?
all right, actually sets a goal for foundation and membership for the club. You need to have those 2 committees, and you must have 5 members per committee. So, and we're good in that. I've gone through who we have on what committee and foundation and membership, we've got the minimum number of members we need. So
Okay.
it's a good start.
Okay,
Brad,
yes, Andy.
Sandra, and Alicia, I've been talking about this for the last couple of years. I think when Alicia and Will came on, and you guys know this as past district governors, but one thing I like, and I do it a lot university-wise, because I think students like it, and I'm always the guy wearing the Rotary pin and all those things. But just like you have United Way, why can't we have? I've talked about this. Maybe get it behind this year. That people going to the meeting. So you talked about points, but maybe we could do it different ways. All that could lead up to a couple of categories: the Rotarian of the Year, everybody doing all this and all that. Maybe the newest Rotarian coming in to doing all this. I think if we have challenges that people really can, have with pride and everything like that, get them going. I do that for students, and it gets them going. I mean, awards, challenges. We don't do much. I know we do with Rotary, but I think it might be a good way to, kind of kick people in the butt and whatever. To me, it's great on a resume, things like that. It's talking points. You're the Rotarian of the Year, you've done this or that. I know a lot of clubs have it and do it. We don't. I think maybe something, and we don't have to call it that or do it that, but I think challenges could be really nice to get people motivated and do things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I don't know what you all
Yeah.
think. I mean, how we put it together, we can all decide upon, but I think certainly for new members and people coming in, I don't think we challenge them enough. And maybe just, you go in the military, you make sergeant, you take an exam, you get this, you go for a PhD, you're associate professor, you're a professor. These are all challenges in life, next steps and whatever. Why can't we do it in a way to, really innovate people, challenge them, and have them, feel like they've done something with pride?
Yeah, you're talking about, which I think is really important. I mean, you're talking about acknowledging people. I think
Exactly.
I think you're talking about acknowledging people, and I think that's really, really important. It is. So I don't know exactly. It's not exactly a committee. I'm not sure where. I think it's something really important that we need to make sure that we do. I don't know where we put that in all of this exactly. And
Brad, you and Will did that when you were governors. I mean, you had, the best website, the most improved
Right.
club, all that. Can't we do that kind of on a club level?
Sure,
Yeah.
we should. I think not only can we. I think we should. I think it's a really, really great point.
Yeah.
Really great.
That's part of the carrot and stick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how about on that point that we continue to talk about a little bit more? I think because we really don't have that identified in here in any specific way, but I think it's really important that we do that. And so we'll just talk about it a little bit more and try to come up with, the best way to structure that. What do you think?
We can. And Brad, even when you get to a certain point, some of the clubs, the club gives you a Paul Harris Fellow, or part, one or two or whatever. Maybe that's what some clubs do. Maybe you do all this, and you can get that. The club will honor you with a fellow. So that maybe could be one category. I'm just thinking, people, like you say, the Rotarian who comes in and does nothing. Maybe they need the challenge. Maybe to feel that people are acknowledging them. And, that's what they need and they don't get. And maybe we're not doing enough of it.
Mm-hmm. Do you think, how do people feel? Do you think we need to make that a committee itself? Or, what are the thoughts about that? Anybody?
I think
Well,
it's
maybe
good that we would need to work on the particulars of it.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely start with, highlighting numbers. But yeah, we could throw a carrot out there. And these ideas are great. Let's get some in writing. Let's toss some emails back and forth, and maybe we can bounce off enough ideas that we can come up with a solid plan, what are we going to offer awards? What are we going to offer? When are we going to offer them?
I'd
Well,
be happy
here's-
to do it with Brad or Will.
Here's something that one of the clubs in our district, it was an up and coming evening club of young professionals, and this wasn't really designed for recognition for new members, but it was designed to have a path forward. Here is how you progress in our club and become a fully integrated member. And this was for new people. They were issued a passport, a club passport. It looked like a passport. It was blue. It had a cover, pages with fake stamps in them. But there were specific things that every new member coming into the club had to accomplish, like attend a board meeting, attend another e-club meeting for another e-club, participate in a committee, go to the Rotary website and complete X number of short courses. So there was, and every time you got one of the officers in the club to sign off on your passport, which could be done virtually for us. But at the end of a year, every new member was expected to have gone to all the countries, all the places on their passport, all the various Rotary places, and do all the various Rotary things that the passport listed. So that's just a thought as to how to encourage and document.
Yeah.
And for those that went over and above the basics, maybe that passport would have a gold star, and they would be in competition for some greater recognition. Just a thought.
Well,
I like
think
it.
I think it's a good thought. And, as I'm looking at this, and our whole goal here is to try to create a more dynamic, growing club. I mean, that's what this is all about. And kind of two things that are popping out at me is, one is in terms of our meetings, having good speakers, right? A good, not just speakers, but a good, entertainment or whatever we're going to have within the meeting. And probably the second thing is making new members excited and enthused about, coming into our club. And I think what we're talking about here in terms of acknowledging them is one of the ways to do that.
Yeah.
Okay,
All right.
some more talk on that, I think, but it seems that we're all of the same mind. It's just a matter of how are we going to structure it,
Exactly.
and how are we going to implement it. So,
Okay. All right.
okay. So more conversation on, and I made a note about that too. So, okay. On to the next question. What are we? Question 7?
7.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Question 7. That comes after 6 usually. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so.
Last I looked. Okay. We should be an every Rotarian every year club. To accomplish this, would you approve $25 per member per quarter charge? However, this would be an optional payment. And our thoughts about this, I'll read it here. The sentiment of those that participated in the survey was to implement every Rotarian every year. However, we are cautious about doing this and believe there needs to be a thorough, honest discussion about it. First, the reason is that the goal of clubs adopting this program is to have all members contribute to the foundation. If for some reason 2 or 3 members didn't contribute, the club would make this up. In our case, we have several members that do not participate in any activities. Because of this, we'll probably have several members not contribute, thus defeating the purpose of the program. However, if we use E-Ray to increase our club's donation with the knowledge that it probably won't result in every member contributing, at least in the near term, this may be something we wish to adopt. So I think the clarification that we're trying to make is the reason most clubs implement E-Ray is to try to get to 100% contribution, 100% donations. In our club, I'm not sure that we're going to do that near term, but we could still increase our donations and contributions at the same time if we chose to implement this. So those were our thoughts.
Any other thoughts?
How strong has the desire, if at all, been in the last several years of the board to be an E-Ray club? And the reason I ask is, as stated in the discussion here, recommendation as Brad just read, if for some reason 2 or 3 members of the club can make it up. I was in a club, Inverness in 6950, that they would take money. I don't know if they took it from their charitable foundation, which I hope they didn't, or their admin budget, which I think they did. And they just put $1 in for every person who didn't contribute to the Rotary Foundation. They had their own charitable foundation, which, as you know, a lot of clubs do. And the board was very serious about E-Ray. They wanted that on their checklist for the governor's award or the presidential citation, whatever. So that's the reason I asked the question. Other clubs I've been in have made it mandatory. The Naples Club was hardcore. They didn't care if you were new to the community and you weren't making, a really big salary. They put it on your bill. And there were a lot of stressful meetings, shall I say, over that mandate. So that's the reason I asked the question. I mean, how dialed in is the board at this point? Because if you only got a few members that aren't going to do it, you could certainly contribute in their name, and then you're 100% E-Ray. The question is that really important? And if the answer to that is no, is there a goal then to even up the E-Ray to what Rotary originally suggested when they came up with this theme, which was $100? But
yeah, sustaining.
That was the recommendation. But a lot of people thought you had to give 100 to be E-Ray, which isn't true. If you gave $1, you were in E-Ray. So I just asked the question really for those reasons. I wanted to get a frame of reference.
Well, in the survey of the people that responded to this question, there were 10 of them. 7 wanted to implement this. I know that's not a huge number, but again, we're dealing with 10, 12 people are the people that are participating. There aren't too many other people participating, so we kind of have to look at that number as being a real number in terms of the people that actually care enough to participate. But your comments, right on spot. I mean, the problem for us is that we would have difficulty in getting everybody to contribute, and we would probably have to come up with money out of our budget in some place to make up the difference. And it would probably be a reasonably large number because we would not have a lot of people contributing.
Yeah, on question 7, I apologize. I've lost contact a couple times tonight, so let me be very quick. I've been treasurer for a couple of years, and I'm foundation chair. My observation is we have people in the club who will give every year will be E-Ray members, and we have people in the club who will never give. And the same people give year in, year out. And I've also been involved with clubs where this is not a big deal, giving to the foundation. Whether that's right or wrong, there are clubs who feel that way. And I think the suggestion, if we want to, one way to make everyone participate is we could put it in the budget. We could put $300 in the budget to give to Rotary Foundation every year. That'd equal to about $10 a person. So everybody's contributing. That's maybe sleight of hand, but if we want everyone to participate, that's a way of doing it. I would not favor a mandatory imposition of an amount to be given every member to the foundation. Those are my thoughts.
Yeah,
Well,
well,
yeah,
I would add that unless Rotary has recently changed their code of policies, a club is prohibited from requiring one to give to the foundation. Number
Yep.
one. Number two, my position is I could care less about having an E-ray banner for the club. What I'm concerned about is I would like every member to be engaged enough, educated enough, and internally want to give to their international foundation,
Mhm.
which for many might be the only international participation they would have to justify wearing a Rotary international pin.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Um,
I might suggest the Rotary the Rotary magazine came yesterday, and the foundation chair. I'm fascinated by this guy. He writes great articles every month, and he talked about ladders, 8 different steps. You know, why people give to charity, why people give to the foundation, and you know the best reason that people give is they want to give, as Will just said. If they become educated, become aware of what the foundation does, and they want to give, that's the ideal.
yeah, I agree with Will in that the Rotary policy is not to make it a mandatory issue, and I certainly would not support it. You only get the distinction or the award of an E-Ray club once, and we have the banner for that, and you only get it one time. We are an E-Ray club. It's on our website. And I would go along with Will's sentiments, and it's up to us to encourage people and encourage them to participate. And by doing that, eventually, hopefully, they will participate in E-Ray.
It's on their annual checklist, on each member's annual checklist. Give to the foundation, give a little Polio Plus, be involved in the club, do something.
Do something. Yeah. Thank you.
Will, when you talked about, one thing came to mind, and this goes hand in hand. I love the idea of the passport. One thing maybe we need to talk and do a little bit more. I know it's been really difficult with COVID, but as a couple of us being former RLI facilitators, maybe, really working on making sure our new members and those go through RLI, parts 1, 2, and 3. It's a great point. And first of all, the one I hated to teach the most was foundation. I mean, you really got to be somebody good with it. And not everybody understands it so well. And I think, if we could really have everybody understand foundation, like you said, I think then they really want to give. So it gets back to, as an educator, getting back to the education and the education that we really need to have people go through RLI. Not everybody knows about it. Not everybody does it. When they do it, they enjoy it. And so what can we do to get everybody to do it moving forward? Because when we do, they're going to be educated, like you say, and a lot of things are going to be coming more easily.
Well, Andy, that's an excellent point. And to that point, we have just added the future Florida RLI director to our club roster. That being Vince Quintero.
Oh, great.
So Vince will be talking with the club about RLI.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be, and are we going to, well, I'll talk to him. Are we going to be doing more, hopefully, virtual RLIs? I know I asked that a couple of times, and I think, is that something they're working on or doing more of, certainly during COVID?
Yes.
Okay.
Part 3 should be coming out soon. When you say virtual, you mean through Zoom or Teams?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, part 3 should be coming out soon, and a few districts are talking about going back to face-to-face in the spring. We'll see how that works out, but virtual is here to stay.
Okay.
COVID forced the issue.
Mhm.
I'll talk more about that, when we have our club meeting and I'm the speaker and all that, but we're looking forward to that. And having both sessions in all 3 sessions in English and Spanish. We have one in Spanish right now that the Caribbean is taking advantage of.
Great.
And Vince, if I can talk to you in the future, because I haven't done RLI for a while, only because I've been between districts, but can I talk to you about doing that again? Because I went through training and have taught a lot in 6990. So
Absolutely.
that's something I can talk. Okay, because I like to do that again. It's been a while and I really enjoyed doing it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So,
All right.
regarding question 7, I think I'm hearing that, being an E-Ray club is not the most important thing to us. What's important is that we get people participating more and as much as possible.
Yes,
And so becoming an E-Ray club is probably not something that, we feel we need to do.
and continuous. All right.
Is that about right?
Yeah, I mean,
Yep.
like Robin stated, we already are, because the club has obtained that distinction, but to carry it on from year to year to year, there's more important things like involvement.
Okay,
So,
great. Okay.
right.
Seems like that's fairly much of a consensus on that. So
Yeah. I'll go down
Okay.
to hit question 8 real quick, and I'll just cover this real quick, as this is something ever since I was substitute teaching that I've been interested in doing. The local high school here, Largo High, had an Interact club. It folded, poor leadership for one and lack of interest. The district governor elect designate, or is it, does it? Anyway, not the next one coming up. Yeah, designate.
Nominee.
Yes, thank you. My goodness. Anyway, he's huge in Interact. So I've already talked with him about starting an Interact. And then the governor coming after him is huge on Zoom meetings, doing, Rotary online and whatnot. So that's when I'm really going to start revving up and seeing if we can't get an Interact club going. I'll continue over this next year with my conversations. I've already got conversation in with the high school, some high school contacts. So that's just something I'm going to be working on.
Right.
That's great.
Okay. So I think regarding all 8 of these questions that, my perception is that, our recommendations were pretty good on most of them, that question 4 needs to be rephrased a little bit in terms of what we'd originally recommended to be what we had previously talked about, and we'll do that and send it around to everybody. We also had the point that we really need to work on acknowledging people towards their contributions and, trying to help people that are coming into the club and people that are into the club feel that they're appreciated and acknowledged in the club. And that we need to do more of that and talk about how we're going to do that.
All right.
I'm just looking for the single malt Scotch acknowledgement. That's all I want.
You got it. And that's for Robin.
Cheers.
That's in here somewhere. I'm going to give the screen back to you, Alicia.
Okay, great.
Here we go.
Okay.
And
There
we
we
have
go.
run over time, but I did want to make one more comment. I got a wonderful call from the district membership chair, Chris Casella, who is our district governor-elect nominee designate. Oh my goodness.
Oh.
Anyway.
District governor nominee designate.
Well, and I've also heard it called just district governor designate. So, I mean, that even shortens it more.
He's on down the line a few years. Anyway.
3 years out.
Correct. he is membership chair this year. And he personally called me to congratulate me and the club because we have 4 new members and we can do it. We are a Zoom club. We are 100% online and we've been able to bring in, new members, and he's impressed and district higher ups are impressed. So he felt it was important to personally call me and give the club some kudos. So there you go.
Good.
Well, and I think obviously a lot of these kudos. Now, I expect to be reimbursed for this, Will. I just want to tell you that before I even say this. That credit goes to Will for bringing in these. Remember, he's doing a great job, I think. And so anyway, the kudos go to Will.
I've been standing on the street corner every night,
Yeah, I put him out there.
Listen, I'll send you the email about how I can be reimbursed for that comment shortly.
Alicia,
Yes.
one quick thing. The Rotary Club of Bal Harbor, my former club, 8 o'clock in the morning Thursdays. Great club. Not too many people. They're always looking for great guest speakers. I did one on a few weeks ago on LinkedIn. And if anybody wants to get up early, let me know. Be a great way to talk about the E-Club. I always mention it. So if anybody wants to do it, it's $69.90. Some great people, great connections, and they might be good for makeup. So let me know. You have my email, but they're looking, I think, somebody coming on and talking about the E-Club, whether it's Alicia or Will or Brad or Vince or somebody. I think it would be great. And if we have a little warning, maybe you can get them to have some of the other clubs or people in the district. I think it'd be great kudos for us.
Okay, Andy, could you go ahead and send a.
I'll send you the info. Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll send you that. Okay.
Okay,
Sure.
great. All right.
Good.
Okay.
Anything else, guys? My wonderful team? No,
Well, hopefully our speaker works out next week. We hope about that.
we have put a lot of effort in getting the word out. So yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I hope so.
Okay.
We've
All
got
right.
we've got the promotion on several, I think, districts and
Yeah,
zones.
you did
So
that.
hopefully it
Kudos.
works out. Yeah.
Kudos. Great job. All right, guys, have a good rest of the evening.
4-way test.
Celebrate.
Thanks for joining us, Vince.
Hey, my pleasure. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Take care,
Bill.
guys.
Thanks,
Okay.
Yep.
Hey,
All
good to
right.
see you guys.
Good to see
Thanks
you.
all.
Bye-bye.
man. Okay, bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.